Heyo, what's up review family? My name is Jay Morris Review Guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video, and in this one I'm going to be covering the new Injury Reserve album. It's self-titled. Injury Reserve is an Arizona experimental hip-hop trio formed in 2013, currently signed to Loma Vista Records, and this is their major album release, their first major album. Now, they've released some EPs, they've released some mixtapes, two of which were very well received, those being Live at the Dentist Office as well as Floss, boasting experimental production, some enigmatic personalities, and a camaraderie that could not be denied and that could rival a hip-hop collective such as Brockhampton. Blending old-time references, pop culture references, funny lyricism, insightful lyricism, sometimes lyricism that didn't take itself that seriously, it was kind of a full-body experience, and it gave each and every member their own personality, their own flair, and it gave them their time to shine, and a lot of people really enjoyed that. In a laundry list of artists that are going into this experimental hip-hop, industrial hip-hop sound, I would say Injury Reserve is one of the ones that are kind of at the head of it for doing it the most tastefully, in the ways that make the most sense, and blending it with some catchiness and alternative hip-hop flair that makes it not only applicable to the average hip-hop listener, but experimental enough to give people a nice flair and a nice flavor that maybe listen to a lot more hip-hop. Their eclectic style choices and their wonky instrumentation, as well as their lyricism and the personalities of the members, really got me excited for this album. And let me tell you, this is a very nice album. Although chances are, a lot of people are feeling that way. Once again, they're blurring the lines, they're blending the influences, and I would say this is probably some of their wackiest beats that they've done up to this point. But once again, I have to point out, they are sticking to that nice alternative hip-hop flair that will be applicable to more people than just your average listener. And once again, I have to say, Injury Reserve has found themselves in a nice space of the musical spectrum, blending experimentation with very widely ranging sounds. It's 13 tracks, 38 minutes, so it's in and out pretty fast for how many tracks it has, which I am fine with. I feel like they pack a lot into these tracks, and nothing goes on or drags on too long, and nothing is too short. The opening track, Corona and Lime, has an instrumental that would put JPEG Mafia to task, who does find himself on this album. It's so glitchy, it has this industrial feel, and the wobbly notes that first start the track out, they're kind of manipulated, this and it's like they manipulate it and push it around like a collage. And the sound manipulation at the end of the track is not only very impressively done, but it's kind of catchy. On Jawbreaker, the collective Pro Teens features in an instrumental front. I believe I'm not that familiar with the collective, admittedly, so I apologize for that, but Rico Nasty appears on the track, and her verse is ice cold, it's stone cold, and it gives off this veneer like, I don't give a shit what you think about me. The spoken word bit is kind of talking about how people on Instagram will like post their entire outfit and how much it costs, and not really getting caught up in material things, but being proud of kind of who you are and not being pressed into the norms when it comes to fashion. It's definitely lyrical content that I can screw with, and not only to mention that, but the chorus, that's an issue on this album at some points. A lot of times they're repetitive, and I get choruses are supposed to be, but a lot of them feel a lot bare bones compared to the rest of the track that they find themselves on. The verses are usually very fire, they're usually very enigmatic, they usually pack in a lot of lyrical material, and it goes to show that they are able to do it, but a lot of the choruses either feel underdeveloped or underwritten or just very scant. GTFU, one of my favorite tracks on the album, it features JPEG Mafia. He is such a beast on this track. If you didn't know, I'm a big JPEG Mafia fan, and this instrumental was made for him. Honestly, this album was made for him, and I'd be curious to know what he would have done on all of these tracks. Obviously, I don't want him on every single track, but it's so balls to the wall that, nice industrial hip-hop instrumentation carries on throughout this entire track in a really banging way, sounding a little bit like if Death Grips was toned down a little bit. And then the track goes very beautiful in the latter half and kind of descends into almost a Brockhampton-esque type sounding instrumental. But the bass at the end is so harsh, it's so distorted, and these manipulated vocals ring out in just the weirdest ways, pitch shifted, and they just Jailbreak the Tesla features some of my favorite lyrics on the entire album. I definitely suggest checking it out. It's very clever, but it's also kind of insightful, and the banging instrumentation is pretty, what can I say, banging. And the way the vocals are mixed on this track are pretty much like nothing else on this entire album. It's almost kind of robotic, electronic, it sounds futuristic, and I really hope that's not just a coincidence and that's just kind of a brilliant, innovative type of feel for the lyrical topic of the track, which features Elon Musk multiple times, and obviously the chorus references Jailbreak the Tesla, and those lower, manipulated, like really low vocals, I think on the chorus they sound pitched down and slowed down a little bit, sound very just kind of ominous, especially with this creepy instrumental as is with industrial flair added to it. Gravy and Biscuits, I'll admit, I didn't like the chorus at first. I thought the chorus was so goofy and so like underperformed, and the vocals were weird, but it's grown on me so much I can't even put into words. It's a catchy chorus that everything good, everything gravy and biscuits. It's so stupid that it's good, and some of the lyrics on this track are very good as well, even though it's a fairly short track. I love Stepa's verse on this track, especially when he's making all the comparisons to different board games in very clever ways, talking about his past. Rap Song Tutorial is a nice little tongue-in-cheek kind of commentary about how quote-unquote easy it is to make a rap song, and especially at the end I like when it's like, just repeat it a little bit and you can make a rap album. But as a song, as listening to a song, this is the type of thing that it wears a little bit thin with repeated listens, and I feel like the instrumental does sound like something JPEG Mafia would get on again. It's very glitchy and experimental, but the very monotone, close to the mic rapping, especially the repetition on the chorus, I don't really get behind as a track, and for the tongue-in-cheek kind of satire that it displays, it's a clever track, it's a fun track, but it's something that I would be apt to skip with repeated listens. Wax On featuring Freddie Gibbs has this very vibrant, exuberant instrumental to it, but it does keep it a little bit low-key. Freddie's inclusion is very nice. I like his verse. I like when he comes on the chorus as well, and this chorus has some of the same issues I have with some of the other choruses as well. The repetition can get a little bit too repetitive and a little bit too grating, and this is coming from someone that has to, listen to it over and over and over, so I get a feel of the fine lines when it wears down a little bit after first listen, and you're like, wow, this is pretty cool. Yeah, at first it might seem a little bit nice, but as you're listening through it over and over and over, the chorus is a little grating. What a Year It's Been seems like something that could have been on Kids See Ghosts album, not necessarily in a bad way. The heavy rock instrumentation that carries on near the middle part, and it kind of just busts in and takes over the track in a really nice way, a very heavy way. It adds a lot of punch to the lyrics, which are very introspective, very retrospective, and it's basically about the members talking about the year that they had, as well as some things in their life in general, and it really comes off nice. I highly suggest checking out the lyrics on this album if I haven't said that already. Three Man Weave is this beautiful neo-soul and jazz piece. It's very nice. It's abstract, but it has glistening synths all over it. The background vocals are very pretty. They add a lot of dimension. And while it's not something I expected to end the album off, I'm not really complaining. It's a beautiful track, but it still has that punch to it. I hope I don't sell this album short, because it's a really, really nice album, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Some of the choruses can feel a little bit grating, and some of the lyricism does seem a little bit underdeveloped, but that only comes from the fact that the band members showcase on this album that they are able to craft some very catchy choruses and some very just hard-hitting, emotionally resonant verses, and that just makes me crave more of it as I go from track to track, and when they sometimes can't live up to that, it does hit me a little bit. So in the future, I would like to see Injury Reserve maybe do a little bit more, fleshing some of their songs out from a lyrical front on certain parts, especially the hooks that can feel a bit flat. But the instrumentals, the instrumental palette is wonderful. The experimentation and the industrialness makes all of these beats simultaneously just hit hard, but also provide beauty at times, and unanimously this album's beats are amazing from front to back. All of the members have such a nice camaraderie on this track listing, and it's so watertight right for being only 38 minutes. They pack these tracks to the brim, and even the tracks that I maybe didn't like as much as others still pack a punch. The lyrics are funny, and they're also very serious at times, and they smack the two together to create a very diverse experience from a lyrical standpoint. Funny wordplay, some nice references that people will get, some people won't. It's entertaining. It's really entertaining, and the guest features don't let down either. Most of them feel like they're giving their all. So yeah, my nitpicks were nitpicks. I did really enjoy this album, and I highly suggest it. It's one of the most interesting rap albums that I have heard this year thus far, and I highly suggest it. I'm going to be giving this album an 8 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Please stay for the end screen. I'll link some videos that you might be interested in. Smash that notification bell and subscribe to the channel for my regular uploads. Like this video if you enjoyed. It helps me out a lot, and I'll talk to you guys next time. But until then, my name is Jay Morris, Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.